Well, Broncos country, today was the day the offense kind of came back to earth a little bit, or you can look at it as the defense really flexed their muscles and showed the true potential that they're going to have for the 2025 season. Right now, we are going to go down in the training camp, day 7 breakdown for the Denver Broncos. So smash that like, hit subscribe if you're not already. If you guys love all the latest from Broncos camp, be sure to follow the channel, man. We like to have fun and interact with me in the comments. So a lot of updates from today. I think it was another really overall very good day of practice. The Broncos were back in pads, and the way that it started was the offense really was struggling quite a bit against the defensive line, consistently pressuring Bo Nix, according to a couple different sources that I had seen that were live at camp. Mike McGlinchey was really just consistently getting beat a lot. John Franklin Myers, Malcolm Roach, Zach Allen, those guys up front were just blowing plays up. Marvin Mims got stuffed in the backfield, showed some frustration. And then Bo Nix throws his first interception of camp. Not really a big deal, whether it's, I don't care if he throws 100 in camp, it really doesn't matter. But throws his first interception in camp to Talanoa Hufanga. But apparently it was what Sean Payton would say, a sick play. It was really nice. And I think it's one of those where I'm looking at it like if a safety is going to make that type of play where he's covering 8 yards of turf in a matter of a couple seconds, jumping around, making a play on it. That's a win for everybody. You know, it's not necessarily a bad play by the quarterback, but it's just an unbelievably good play, and you like to see it. And I look at this whole thing as a positive. We knew more than anything as Bronco fans that this defense was going to be elite. It was going to be a top 3 unit, and it has potential to be the best defense in the NFL, especially after what they did last year. So the fact that every single day the offense is going up against them, they've had some really good days. They've obviously had days like today where they struggled. That's all a very good thing. And I think it's going to make the overall unit much better. But definitely a day where the defense shined. There's no doubt about that. And like I said, I look at it like a positive. Now, I'm really interested to see, okay, how we start looking against other teams. We're playing San Francisco. We have some joint practices next week in Santa Clara. Yes, every year it seems like San Francisco under Kyle Shanahan, whenever they seem to be counted out, they perform very well. They got Robert Saleh back as defensive coordinator. They lost a lot of pieces. I get it, but they could surprise a lot of people. But I'd still full well expect for the Broncos to go out there and whoop them up, and kind of get back at them for what they did to us several years ago when the Niners were not supposed to be very good, and they came in and they kicked our ass here before a preseason game. So it's going to be nice for to see how we measure up, and especially how the offense looks against their defense, because their defense can fly around. We know Robert Saleh can call some defense there. So looking forward to seeing against that. But this is one of those things. It's just another layer, right? In terms of where the offense is going to be. A lot of positive notes are that we saw from today is Jaleel McLaughlin looked pretty good catching the ball out of the backfield. He was getting coached a lot by Sean Payton, and he gained about 12 pounds roughly. He's 199 pounds according to him. So he put some weight on. He really focused on that. He's saying he's feels like he's even faster. He's definitely more powerful. A lot of insight. We'll get into that a little bit more with him. And then Malcolm Roach talked after practice as well. So both of them did. In addition to Jaleel looking really good out of the backfield, so did RJ Harvey. He was out there. They were really focusing today on the running backs, running routes out of the backfield, and being utilized as weapons. And I'm so excited to see the way that these guys are going to be used, because you hear so many reports about the wide zone scheme that we're implementing and that we're emphasizing a lot during camp. And you hear a lot about the joker roles that these other running backs might be able to play. And J.K. Dobbins is a good pass catcher himself. So how they utilize these guys, I'd like to see a little bit more 2-back sets. I think it's going to be really interesting. Getting into what Jaleel said, man, and let me tell you guys, today was probably my favorite day of the player press conferences. In fact, it might be the best overall, because Sean Payton was in a really joyful mood after a lot of people thought he wasn't going to be with the way he was yelling at some of the players and coaching some guys up. But he talked to the media for over 30 minutes, gave a lot of really good insights. And then they followed it up with Jaleel, he really is a fantastic person to listen to. So insightful, optimistic all the time, very joyful. And then Malcolm Roach is hilarious. But getting into, what Jaleel had said, a really good question by, I believe it was Zach By, talking about, when you look at yourself, when you scouted yourself from last season, where do you want to see yourself improve the most? And immediately he said, big thing for me, is wanting to break tackles better, be better after contact, which I would 100% agree with, because way too many times he went down too early. And so he put a lot of work into the offseason. He talked about he didn't really take a break at all. He was hitting the weight room, and he was focusing on getting bigger, getting stronger. He definitely looks like he's put some size on, but that's a good thing. And he's such a ridiculously hard worker. At this point, it seems like it's almost a lock that he's going to make the team, which before camp, I probably wouldn't have said that. But it looks like he's going to be locked to make the team because they just really love him, and he's a very good glue guy. He's so selfless. He kept talking up his other running back mates who were really there to take snaps and take his job from him, and JK and RJ. And he was saying both those guys are going to be phenomenal. They're great players. But I like how he's really focusing on perfecting his craft, getting stronger, getting better, catching the football out of the backfield. I think that's really important. And he's going to carve himself out a little bit of a role on offense. Regardless of if there's injuries or not, he's going to get those few touches, and you're gonna see him make the most of that, hopefully. So I'm excited to see this new version of Julio. He's still going into his third year. He's still a young guy. Doesn't have a whole bunch of tread on his tires. We know the positives he can bring, so I'm excited. And apparently he's made a lot of strides as a pass protector too. So that could be really big for him. On the other side, man, Malcolm Roach. I mean, listen to this guy talk, and you understand immediately why players and coaches just love the guy. He's funny. He's insightful. He's unbelievably driven. He always talks about that. You could see the chip on his shoulder. Like he genuinely has this anger in terms of the fact that he was undrafted and he still busted his ass and he got there. But man, he had so much joy and love for his defensive teammates. The guys in the offense, he talked about how when JK was kind of talking trash back to him at camp, he loved it. He's like, finally we got this. Finally, we got this fire from the offense. This is exactly what we've been kind of waiting for, because he knows at the end of the day, it's all about having the best team. If the offense is really good, the defense's job is better, and vice versa. So it was really insightful, man. I very, very highly recommend go checking his presser out, both of their pressers, but definitely Malcolm's if you guys have a chance, because it was awesome to see. And he's always been one of my favorite players. I think he's one of the big reasons why they're not going to give a big contract to John Franklin Myers. I think they'll still give one to Zach Allen, but because he's just so versatile. And he talked a lot about that. He said, I don't really care if I'm a starter. You know, if I'm getting 40 snaps in a game, my job and my focus is to make the most out of those 40 snaps, earn every single thing that he's done. And I think he's a tremendous player. He's always been one of my favorite defensive line guys. Phenomenal against the run. I love the energy that he brings. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what number 97 can do this year. No doubt about it. I think he's a stud. Big fan of his. No doubt about it. So go check that out. But overall, man, just good vibes again. Good vibes again from Broncos camp. Troy Franklin continues to go out there, make some plays. Pat Bryant, as a little bit of a note, I did see on Twitter, he beat Patrick Surtain today on a curl route on third down to secure the catch. So you love to see that back and forth. And the fact that he's going out there and still making plays against Pat Surtain, the best corner, is always a good thing, right? I think majority of the time Pat's going to win those battles, but man, you like to see the Pat on Pat action, and you like to see him confident enough to just go out there and make plays and continue a very strong camp. Everybody that you talk to talks about how good of a camp Troy Franklin has had, which is always a positive. You're continuing to stack days. And they're consistently talking about Pat Bryant, how he's just solid. He's consistent. He's making plays every day. He rarely makes bad plays, rarely dropping the football. Very impressive. Very impressive for a young rookie. And rookies, you saw it with Troy. Troy Franklin had a horrible camp last year. He struggled a lot before making a big leap. So Pat Bryant, the opposite. He's having a really strong camp. You got to love it. And Evan Ingram's out there, and it's just fun, man. It's fun. And this was the day that Talanoa Hufanga really made his name known. Reminded everybody just the kind of player that he was and what he can be for the Broncos. So you love to see it. Couple of injury updates. Speaking of some of the new guys that we had brought in, all pretty good news on Dre Greenlaw. I'm not as optimistic as some of the reports are saying, and as Sean Payton, made it sound. And that's just because I don't want to get overly excited. And I know how these soft tissue injuries can be a little bit troublesome. But by all accounts, it was just a very slight strain, a little bit of tightness in a different area of the quad that he had injured before. I don't know if it's actually the same leg. I think it is. They said it was a different area. They didn't seem like it was, they were overly worried about it. He was out with the team today during stretch, moving around. They said they're going to be cautious with him, but that he might be out there for the joint practices, but probably be held out during the game. He didn't say that verbatim. That's kind of the vibe that I got. So again, big thing with Greenlaw, you don't want to rush him back. You'd like to see him come back, stack a few good days of just not being injured, and see how his body responds. That's the big thing. With these soft tissue injuries, man, they can be really, really scary. People talked again about Lavelle Bailey. Malcolm Roach talked about him, talked about just, man, this guy's made serious strides. He's way stronger. He looks like a linebacker. He's really playing like one. And Karine Reed, man, he got burnt by RJ Harvey on a pass route. But I tell you what, he looked good. The coverage was pretty decent. He was moving. So he's going to be a fun guy. This young linebacker core, again, I've said it ad nauseum, but they're going to be a really fun group to watch during the preseason game, which is 8 days from now, man. A week from tomorrow, the Broncos will be in Santa Clara for their first preseason game. Can't even believe it. Time seems to fly. Other injuries of note. Another injury update. Alex Singleton was back again with the team today. He had a wrap over his thumb. About 4 or 5 days, and he should be back. Really just need the incision to seal up so that there's no fear of infection. They put a cast, and he should be good to go to continue with practice. So we'll get some guys back. Otherwise, no other injury news, which is very, very good for this team as we continue having a really good practice. Tomorrow, the Broncos are doing a full-on scrimmage. Love that, before they have a day off on Sunday. I'm excited about the scrimmage, man, because that's where you see a lot of you get a lot of updates in terms of how the offense did. And so it should be some good stuff coming out for tomorrow. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening, man. That's going to wrap up today's video. But let me know down below in the comments. Are you guys worried about the Broncos offense struggling against the defense? Or do you find it to be a positive? Because if they're going to struggle, this is probably the time to do it. Let me know below in the comments. Till the next video. Go Broncos, baby. Peace out.